back with the final part of our incapacitating agents. We thought we were going to bang out 2 or 3 in a thing, but you know what? It's a little more than you think.
It is. It's important to kind of go through these chemicals and really kind of understand what they do and how they do. If it wasn't important, then the Joint Terrorism Task Force wouldn't be putting them out in the First Responders Toolbox by the NCTC. So if you want additional information on this, you can absolutely go there. The First Responders Toolbox, phenomenal resource. We are going to cover the third and final, which is going to be phosphine.
Right. If I look a little tense, it's because we're doing like multiple hours a day of recording, and you have to get up and walk every once in a while. This is our 6th in a row. So
I've got blood clots forming in my leg as we speak. I've had
got one of those
shorter
little pedal things under the desk.
I've sat less times on airlines going to other countries. So, but no, we're sitting and recording. We've got a lot of great stuff going on. We are totally redoing our LMS system. It is going to be a complete overhaul of online training. We're super excited for it. We think we've tapped the potential.
I don't want to say the number too early, but we have a lofty goal. All right, so I'm going to say it. Fuck it.
Yeah, say it. Whatever.
200 titles before January 1st.
200 titles. That's 200 individual trainings.
Yeah.
Some of them are micro learning, right? So you get that micro learning experience. Some of them are full-fledged lectures. Some of them are going to be me and Bob teaching. And some of them are just going to be myself. Some of them are just going to be Bob. Some of them are going to be whiteboard. We have run the gamut of different ways to put information in front of you. We are super, super excited about it.
Yes.
And if you want to talk to us more about it, Bob, where can they find us throughout the year?
Oh, geez. I think, all right, Indiana is the next one. It's November 1st and 2nd. Oklahoma is November 11th. And then it looks like we're taking off the rest of the year until Connecticut, Florida, and I want to say South Carolina and Ontario. Omra. Omra's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to that one. So, yeah, good times. But let's get into phosgene. Everybody's waiting for, not phosgene, phosphine. A little bit different. Phosphine is not good for you.
No?
End of story. That's the end of this show. Go in peace.
Thank you.
So in low concentrations, we may have some mild respiratory irritation, such as coughing, sore throat, tightness in the chest. Notice how all 3 of these guys pretty much have the same thing. There's a couple little bits that might pop up, like in the last one we were talking about that cherry lips kind of thing. And so you're going to see a lot of consistency. It's not that we're wasting time and saying the same things over and over. It's that we're kind of reinforcing that a lot of this stuff is consistent. So if you see these symptoms, you should be like, all right, I might have something like this. It also could be like bad meatloaf. I mean,
which we have gone on runs and it has been food poisoning. So we don't want to jump to anything. Remember, hazmat is a bunch of pieces of the puzzle being put together. We don't want to jump too quickly to a conclusion, and we don't want to take too much time to gather information before we act. But seeing somebody with emotional distress could be a sign of phosphine exposure, which includes nausea, abdominal discomfort, and the occasional yakking.
Oh, that's nice. And you can also get your headache. Some individuals get low concentrations, get mild headaches, dizziness, lightheadedness.
Weakness, fatigue would go along with that as well. General, they call it, what is it? It's general malaise. General malaise. It may occur at low levels of exposure.
Right. So now at moderate concentration, which again, there are no numbers here. It's just relative. At moderate concentrations, as far as your respiratory system, you're going to have coughing, shortness of breath, and chest discomfort.
It's not just me. You start to increase those concentrations. You could have stuff coming out of both ends. Vomiting increases, diarrhea can develop, and the nausea is much more pronounced.
Yeah. And then you have your neurological effects, such as headache, dizziness, confusion can worsen, which again, as we saw it in the other one, you're starting to get that whole I can't get myself out of the problem haze.
Yeah, which would naturally start to increase your heart rate. Your blood pressure starts to lower. You start having that risk of fainting, and syncope episodes may kind of start to develop.
Yeah.
As we go from moderate to a little bit higher, that severe respiratory distress is going to start to increase, right? We got a rapid and labor breathing, difficulty breathing, acute respiratory failure. Bam, that's when this starts to kick in.
Now, as far as your neurological and cognitive, which is your thinking parts, you have your seizures, loss of consciousness, confusion. Individuals may also exhibit signs of central nervous system depression. So that all of this is almost preventing you from getting out. I'm saying that over and over.
Well, you jump into, at these high concentrations, your cardiovascular system starts to drop into shock, right? So your blood pressure suddenly takes a plummet and your cardiovascular system completely collapses. And this is where phosphine becomes life-threatening.
Right. So now one thing that we haven't talked about with the other ones is that you now have the possibility for metabolic acidosis, which it's basically where your system, your body's pH starts becoming very acidic, right? Your body has a very finite range where it can run, and so if you start really going outside that, your body's trying to fix it and it can't fix it. So the condition is exacerbated by the health risks. Maybe you have bad hearts or prior stroke or whatever. So this is going to compound it much worse.
Yeah. And you're going to see, as we start to kind of develop and perfect our ToxMedic program, hint, 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 this would be something that EMS would be extremely concerned about as far as how they can help to bring somebody back from cardiac arrest, is that, the treatments for that.
Right.
What are some of the physical hazards associated with phosphine? Do we have anything to worry about other than health? Yes, absolutely. Yes. It is super flammable, right? Spontaneous combustion can occur with contact of air and moisture. This is particularly dangerous when the phosphine is being generated from precursors like aluminum phosphide,
which is not as uncommon as you might think.
It's also easy to get your hands on aluminum phosphide.
Phosphine is an airborne gas, highly volatile, which means it is want to disperse readily in the atmosphere, making it very difficult to control and contain the event of a release.
It can also be liquefied, so you have a cryogenic hazard as well as you have a massive concentration hazard. It can be transported. It is a industrial chemical, so you could pick this up commercially. And with any of the cryogenic hazards, right, we're worried about extreme cold, potential frostbite, cold burns, and that pushing out of the atmosphere very easily.
Right, and corrosiveness, just as if you didn't have enough. Super toxic, very flammable, and corrosive. So if it reacts with certain metals and materials, it presents different degradation to those metal things. And you might, specifically, I would want to say probably in your metering, I would be very cautious of, because you're using your metering to establish zones, and then this thing steps in and just smashes it.
Yeah, it can.
Not literally, but you get where I'm going.
The meter that we should never use, our nose, it can pick up phosphine. It can have a foul garlic-like odor. So think of it like your Italian grandma forgot how to cook. And you're now walking into a pasta sauce that is made with awful, awful rotten garlic. The odor threshold for it is about 0.3 to 1 parts per million. So again, we're starting to push into the parts per billion range to be able to detect it. We're detecting it with our smell long before we detect it with our meters. Having that information can help lead us to being able to put pieces together. Because if I walk in and the people are telling me that they can smell this garlic smell and I'm not picking it up on my meters because my meters can't go that low, that's a check in the box that I could be dealing with a phosphine gas.
Yeah. And our gas detectors, the phosphine meter can be in the range of approximately 10.1 to 11.5 electron volts. So can we pick it up?
Somewhat.
responding to phosphine incidents, tell us about that. What if we go on one of these?
Well, you got a couple things that we want to look out for, whether we're responding to it or just walking around the public in general, and we notice things that are a little bit off. And some of those things that can trigger us to go, hey, that's a little bit off, or I have the potential for this, is seeing and identifying precursors. One of those precursors is the metal phosphides. We talked about the aluminum phosphide before. There's also zinc phosphide and magnesium phosphide. They are commonly used as fumigants in the agricultural and grain storage area. So this is something you could actually see or obtain in farm country that you wouldn't think is going to be used as a weapon of mass destruction, but very well could be, because all I need to do is add some moisture or acid to these compounds, and it's going to release the phosphine gas.
Right, and even phosphorus compounds, such as phosphorus trichloride or phosphorus pentachloride, that can be used to generate phosphine gas when reacted with water or other suitable substances.
Water treatment facilities have chemicals that contains phosphides. They can release phosphine gas when it interacts with water and moisture. These can include metal phosphides that are used in the purification system. So these things are readily accessible.
Yeah, and any strong, I don't want to say any, most strong acids, exposed, especially hydrochloric or sulfuric, can react with metal phosphides to produce phosphine gas.
You know, the aluminum phosphides, they land in this category of insecticides, but they're not the only insecticides that can contain the phosphides. A lot of the insecticides have active ingredients that can release phosphine gas if it is misused or exposed to water. These are industrial chemicals, and we can find a lot of these in the industrial chemical setting, which means that we need to be aware of theft that's happening in the industrial areas. We need to be aware of accidents that could occur in the industrial setting that we may be responding to. A phosphine gas can be produced if any one of these products are mishandled.
Yeah. Laboratory reagents, even some laboratory reagents have phosphorus or phosphorus compounds, when mishandled, can generate phosphine gas.
Now, this is a tough one for a precursor because it's everywhere, but just be advised that it might be something that you come across, and in conjunction with some of these other precursors makes the hair stand up on the back of your head, and that's water or moisture, because a lot of these precursors, all it takes is water and moisture to liberate the phosphine gas and to release it.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there with even corrosion products or whatever it is. Tons of stuff. Now, as far as the equipment that it takes to make this stuff, containers, bags, packages labeled with suspected metal phosphides like aluminum phosphide, zinc phosphide, magnesium phosphide, anyone like that will do it. You're looking for drums, for containers that have they have the potential. Again, that chart that we attached probably to all three of these episodes, we're going to put them on there, will help you kind of discern whether the lab is legit or not.
That's the chart by Todd Burton, right?
Todd Burton.
Yeah, he's got some great stuff. Insecticide, rodicides, right? We already kind of talked about the chemicals that are in a lot of these. But if you start to just see huge quantities of these pesticides as you would, that may be something to kind of trigger a further investigation.
Yeah, even unusual laboratory glassware, anything that's like stuff you'd see in Breaking Bad or something like that.
Yes, we're gonna refer Breaking Bad. But you're right. Like, if you watch any of those episodes and you see the setup that they have, those are all things that are going to go, this is unusual. Now, it might be a meth lab, it might be an explosives lab. They could be trying to generate these knockdown gases that we're talking about here. So, you kind of walk into one of these labs. How do you know whether or not something has the potential of having already been cooked, already been made?
Well, you can look for signs of corrosion, chemical reactions, tinting, staining, that kind of jazz. That would be one of the things I would be looking for.
Yeah, odd protective gear that wouldn't normally be associated with the facility, right? Unless you walk into like our houses, which has hazmat, gear kind of strewn about the basement. But other than that, you should be looking for those kinds of things. Odors or unusual smells.
Yeah,
that's a pretty clear indication.
Yeah, and this one has a specific one. Right, we did the hydrogen cyanide was the bitter almonds. The first one was the rotten eggs. This one's more like a garlic,
like grandma's kitchen.
You can have labels and warnings such as SDS's warning labels. I haven't really seen any mad scientists with like big labels and warnings. They mostly got it up here, but
the precursors would have these big warnings on them. Right. I think that's more what they're referring to when they say those warnings and labels is like, hey, you come across a package and it says may off gas phosphine gas. You got 40 of them in somebody's garage. That should trigger an incident. You arrive on scene, isolation and control. Again, we're dealing with gases. So there is no containment methods. There's really only evacuation. So stick with your local protocols for your evacuation procedures. Stick with your SDS sheets. Stick with your ERGs. These are all the things that we kind of want to focus on. As far as trying to neutralize this product, again, this is one of those things where we would want it more to go to completion or maybe try to dilute, but understand that diluting it means that we're adding water to it. And for phosphenes, water is the thing that's going to generate the phosphine gas. So, be very careful when you start to even contemplate neutralization.
Yeah. And so with your respiratory, once again, check the box, put on your SCBA. And as far as chemical resistance suits, if you get in the phosphides in the solid form, which is typically how they are, the precursors are found, then it might be just bunker and SCBA. You're going to have to let your mileage determine how you pick that. But if you're going for something that's in the gaseous format, again, let that go. Why get involved? Splash suits. You're going to have to use your own head on this one. I don't think there's really, because there's 3 different modes I can think of. It could be in the solid, liquid, or gas mode.
Right.
What's your proximity and what's your intent?
And what is the precursors?
And what are the precursors? So